On this last day of the September 96 retreat, we will read various authors, people who have come here before or for many years have heard most of these selections. And yet, there's this amazing phenomenon of hearing something that one may have heard a dozen or more times in a new way, unless the thought predominates, oh, that old stuff again. So first we will read a few things from the Zen teaching of Huang Po, a Zen teacher who lived about 1,000 years ago in China. This is the translation by John Blofeld. This is not a reading to present Huang Po, because the few readings have been abbreviated and some words taken out, paragraphs, sentences. Just to clarify in new words what we have been communicating about together. The Master said to me, all the Buddhas and all sentient beings are nothing but the one mind, beside which nothing exists. This mind, which is without beginning, is unborn and indestructible. It is not green nor yellow, and has neither form nor appearance. It does not belong to the categories of things which exist or do not exist, nor can it be thought of in terms of new or old. It is neither long nor short, big nor small, for it transcends all limits, measures, names, traces, and comparisons. It is that which you see before you. Begin to reason about it, and you at once fall into error. It is like the boundless void which cannot be fathomed or measured. The one mind alone is the Buddha, and there's no distinction between the Buddha and sentient beings, but that sentient beings are attached to forms and so seek externally for Buddhahood. By their very seeking, they lose it, for that is using mind to grasp mind. Even though they do their utmost for a full eon, they will not be able to attain to it. People do not know that if they put a stop to conceptual thought and forget their anxiety, the Buddha will appear before them. For this mind is the Buddha, and Buddha is all living beings. It is not the less for being manifested in ordinary beings, nor is it greater for being manifested in the Buddhas. Full understanding can come to you only through an inexpressible mystery. The approach to it is called the gateway of the stillness beyond all activity. If you wish to understand, Know that a sudden comprehension comes when the mind is purged of all the clutter of conceptual and discriminatory thought activity. Those who seek the truth by means of intellect and learning only get further and further away from it. Not till your thoughts cease all their branching here and there, not till you abandon all thoughts of seeking for something, will you be on the right road. Though others may talk of the way of the Buddhas as something to be reached by various pious practices and scripture study, you must have nothing to do with such ideas. A perception, sudden as blinking, that subject and object are one, will lead to a deeply mysterious, wordless understanding. And by this understanding you will awake to the truth. Your true nature is something never lost to you even in moments of delusion, nor is it gained at the moment of enlightenment. It depends on nothing and is attached to nothing. It is all-pervading, spotless beauty. It is the self-existent and uncreated absolute. Ah, it is a jewel beyond all price. Selection from a booklet called The Meditative Mind, compiled by the Krishnamurti Foundation of America. This selection is from The Flame of Attention. It is immensely important to know and to understand the depth and beauty of meditation. Man has always been asking from timeless time whether there is something beyond all thought, beyond all romantic inventions, beyond all time. He has always been asking, is there something beyond all this suffering, beyond all this chaos, beyond wars, beyond the battle between human beings? Is there something that is immovable, sacred, utterly pure, untouched by any thought, by any experience? This has been the inquiry of serious people from the ancient of days. To find that out, to come upon it, meditation is necessary. Not the repetitive meditation that is utterly meaningless. There is a creative energy which is truly religious when the mind is free from all conflict, from the travail of thought. To come upon that which has no beginning, no end, that is the real depth of meditation and the beauty of it. That requires freedom from all conditioning. There is complete security in compassionate intelligence, total security. But we want security in ideas, in beliefs, in concepts, in ideals. We hold on to them. They are our security, however false, however irrational. When there is compassion with its supreme intelligence, there is security if one is seeking security. Actually, where there is compassion, where there is that intelligence, there is no question of security. So there is an origin, an original ground from which all things arise, and that original ground is not the word. The word is never the thing. And meditation is to come upon that ground which is the origin of all things and which is free from all time. This is the way of meditation. And two very early selections by Krishnamurti from a compilation compiled by the Krishnamurti Foundation, India. The first is from the Star Bulletin, the Theosophical Bulletin, 1932. The individual problem is the world problem. If the individual has found happiness, has created order within himself, then he will create order in the world around him. And in helping others to solve their own individual problems, he will help to solve the world problem. You think that in seeking the liberation of the self, there is a suggestion of egotism. You think that to be eternally happy is a selfish realization. You think that to be free from all sorrow and strife is the desertion of the world. This is a misconception. Liberation is the very antithesis of the sense of the ego, of I-ness. It is the ultimate realization for all people. And from an address in Ojai, 1940, I personally feel that the world is myself, that what I do creates either peace or sorrow in the world that is myself. And as long as I do not understand myself, I cannot bring peace to the world. So my immediate concern is myself, not selfishly, not merely to alter myself in order to gain greater happiness, greater sensations, greater successes. For as long as I do not understand myself, I must live in pain and sorrow and cannot discover an enduring peace and happiness. A selection from I Am That by Nisargadatta Maharaj. His appellation is Maharaj. Translated by Maurice Friedman. Questioner. Maharaj, you are sitting in front of me and I am here at your feet. What is the basic difference between us? Nisargadatta, there is no basic difference. Questioner. Still, there must be some real difference. I come to you, you do not come to me. Nisargadatta. Because you imagine differences. You go here and there in search of superior people. Questioner. You too are a superior person. You claim to know the real, while I do not. Nisargadatta. Did I ever tell you that you do not know and therefore you are inferior? Let those who invented such distinctions prove them. I do not claim to know what you do not. In fact, I know much less than you do. Questioner. Your words are wise, your behavior noble, your grace all-powerful. Nisargadatta. I know nothing about it all and see no difference between you and me. My life is a succession of events just like yours. Only I am detached and see the passing show as a passing show, while you stick to things and move along with them. Questioner. What made you so dispassionate? Nisargadatta. Nothing in particular. It so happened that I trusted my guru. He told me I am nothing but myself, and I believed him. Trusting him, I behaved accordingly and ceased caring for what was not me nor mine. In the Hindu expression, the self, it does not refer to ego, but to the whole, totality of consciousness, of being. So he told me I'm nothing but myself, and I believed him. Trusting him, I behaved accordingly and ceased caring for what was not me nor mine. Questioner. Why were you so lucky to trust your teacher fully, while our trust is nominal and verbal? Nisargadatta. Who can say? It happened so. Things happen without cause and reason, and after all, what does it matter who is who? Your high opinion of me is your opinion only. Any moment you may change it. Why attach importance to opinions, even your own? Questioner. Still you are different. Your mind seems to be always quiet and happy, and miracles happen around you. Nisargadatta. I know nothing about miracles, and I wonder whether nature admits exceptions to her laws, unless we agree that everything is a miracle. As to my mind, there is no such thing. There is consciousness in which everything happens. It is quite obvious and within the experience of everybody. You just do not look carefully enough. Look well and see what I see. Questioner. What do you see? Nisargadatta. I see what you too could see here and now, but for the wrong focus of your attention. You give no attention to yourself. Your mind is all with people, things, ideas, never with yourself. Bring yourself into focus. Become aware of your own existence. See how you function. Watch the motives and the results of your actions. Study the prison you have built around yourself by inadvertence. By knowing what you are not, you come to know yourself. By knowing what you are not, you come to know yourself. One thing is certain, the real is not imaginary. It is not a product of the mind. Once you are convinced that you cannot say truthfully about yourself anything except I am, and that nothing that can be pointed at can be yourself, you are no longer intent on verbalizing what you are. All you need to get rid of is the tendency to define yourself. All definitions apply to your body only and to its expressions. Once this obsession with the body goes, you will revert to your natural state spontaneously and effortlessly. The only difference between us is that I am aware of my natural state while you are bemused. Just like gold made into ornaments has no advantage over gold dust, except when the mind makes it so, so are we one in being. We differ only in appearance. We discover it by being earnest, by searching, inquiring, questioning daily and hourly, by giving one's life to this discovery. Excerpts by a book by Vimalataka, an Indian teacher. She used to travel pretty much all over the world. Now she's just located in India. And these are transcriptions of talks, dialogues, which took place in Dalhousie, India during the summer of 1989. We are talking about an alternative way of living, which is a meditative way of living. Acquire knowledge, let it flow through you, let it be utilized in its relevant field without creating the knower, or without thought creating the knower. If we look at the roots of all human misery, we will find that misery is built upon our stupidity. We do not know how to relate to the social structures and use them without identification, without creating a sense of authority out of them. Structures are not sacred. It is only life that is sacred. Patterns have no sacredness, whether you create them in the name of religion, spirituality, or politics. It is the pattern-free, structure-free, virgin dynamism of life that is sacred, that is divine. Wherever you have touched it with thought, you have manipulated it, you have structured it. It has a utility, but not sanctity. It has a utility, but no authority. Knowledge itself has no power to bind you. It is the creation of the knower that is the obstacle. You have a beautiful, sensitive body, and the sensitivity gets into touch with their respective objects outside and bring back sensations. Sensations are converted back to electric impulses, and the brain interprets them. It is a marvelous process, what we call experiencing. Contact with the outside world through the senses, which are very delicate, very tender. It is quite hard and arduous work to keep your sensual system pure, healthy, supple, and elastic. Let the experiences flow through the sensual system. Nothing wrong in a sensual sexual experience, but thought creates an experiencer and you get stuck in the experience and its likes and dislikes, its value structures and so forth. If the sensual contact with objects is allowed to flow through you without creating an experiencer, then the limited human-made world cannot corrupt you. As the oneness of life manifesting itself into manyness does not get corrupted, does not lose its vitality, does not get mutilated. In the same way you acquire knowledge and you appear as an individual playing the role of a father, a mother, a brother, a sister, a son or daughter, you are one appearing as many. There's no identification with the fatherness, the sonness, daughterness, sisterness, and you don't tie so many knots inside, but play the roles sanely, completely with the magnificence of an inner equipoise. Then the appearing as many shall not corrupt you. In the human-made world, one has to learn to let the knowledge flow without creating a knower. Let the experiences take place without creating an experiencer. That is the way of meditative living. The word meditation has been identified with psychophysical exercises, concentrations, methods, techniques, kundalini, shakti paths. The word has been misused in such a callous way. No authority and no effort. Freedom from authority and freedom from the struggle of efforts. Once you know that these human-made enclosures are only to be lived in, then the sense of comparing yourself with others, like he has a palace and I only have a hut, he has millions and I have hundreds, the sense of comparison and the ambition for competition disappears. Your economic life becomes simple, no vanity, no pride about your scholarship, erudition, and your social life becomes simple. You do not move around with a begging bowl for sympathy, acceptance, prestige, acknowledgement. Silence is inner unconditional freedom from the authority of the past. Silence is unconditional freedom from effort and therefore the alternative way of living. Meditation has no repetition at all. It is moment to moment. In the moment of relating, you are living. In the moment of aloneness, you are dying. It is living and dying, like inhaling and exhaling. To be alone is to die to the sense of being somebody or being something. Is not that the content of death and dying? To be alone is to die to the sense of being somebody, sinner, saint, holy, knowledgeable, respected, rich, and so forth. To be alone is to die to being something according to the definition of society, according to the value structure of religions. Physically isolating yourself may not lead you to the aloneness. It may or it may not. That is what we are afraid of, dying to the sense of being somebody. Dying to all the images you have built up about yourself is being alone. The way we are tackling the theme may be unusual, unheard of by many. It is a non-conventional way, a non-traditional approach. But I am really grateful that life brings you and me together. A few poems from One Robe, One Bowl, the Zen poetry of Ryokan, translated by John Stevens. The night is fresh and cool. Staff in hand, I walk through the gate. Wisteria and ivy grow together along the winding mountain path. Birds sing quietly in their nests, and a monkey howls nearby. As I reach a high peak, a village appears in the distance. The old pines are full of poems. I bend down for a drink of pure spring water. There's a gentle breeze, and the round moon hangs overhead. Standing by a deserted building, I pretend to be a crane softly floating among the clouds. Today's begging is finished. At the crossroads, I wander by the side of Hachiman Shrine, talking with some children. Last year, a foolish monk. This year, no change. Listening to the evening rain in my hermitage, the great way, I braid spring flowers into a ball. The future? If a visitor brings these questions, I have only the tranquility of the hermitage to offer. Late at night, the faint sound of someone pounding rice. Dew drips from the bamboo onto the firewood pile, and the plants along the garden are also moist. Frogs croak in the distance, but they seem very close. Fireflies light low, then high. Wide awake sleep is far off. Smoothing out the pillow, I let my thoughts drift. An evening dream. Everything must have been an illusion. I cannot explain clearly even one part of what I saw. Yet in the dream, it seemed as if the truth were in front of my eyes. This morning, awake, is it not the same dream? Unable to sleep, I hear the voice of a young deer rising from a mountain ridge. I stretch out for a nap in my little hut. In the fields, frogs chant their songs, and the birds in the bamboo groves sing along. when it is evening, please come to my hut to listen to the insects sing. I will also introduce you to the autumn fields. Cutting firewood, filling my jug with pure water, gathering wild grasses while a cool autumn rain gently falls. If your hermitage is deep in the mountains, surely the moon, flowers, and maples will become your friends. Lying on my grass pillow, dreaming about this dream world again, lonely, fitful sleep. As I watch the children happily playing, without realizing it, my eyes fill with tears. Thinking about the people in this floating world far into the night, my sleeve is wet with tears. A thief has stolen my cushion and mat. Why did he break into my hermitage? The door is never locked. The night is ending, and I sit alone by the window. A sparse rain falls gently against the bamboo grove. The thief left it behind. The moon at the window. The Piece of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake nests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Some poems by Mary Oliver, contemporary American poet, from House of Light, New and Selected Poems, and White Pine. The Notebook. 6 a.m. The small pond turtle lifts its head into the air like a green toe. It looks around. What it sees is the whole world swirling back from darkness, a red sun rising over the water, over the pines, and the wind lifting, and the water striders heading out, and the white lilies opening their happy bodies. The turtle doesn't have a word for any of it. The silky water or the enormous blue morning, or the curious affair of its own body. On the shore, I am so busy scribbling and crossing out, I almost miss seeing him paddle away through the wet, black forest. More and more the moments come to me. How much can the right word do? Now a few of the lilies are a faint flamingo inside their white hearts, and there's still time to let the last roses of sunrise float down into my uplifted eyes. The Kingfisher. The Kingfisher rises out of the black wave like a blue flower. In his beak he carries a silver leaf. I think this is the prettiest world, so long as you don't mind a little dying. How could there be a day in your whole life that doesn't have its splash of happiness? There are more fish than there are leaves on 1,000 trees. And anyway, the Kingfisher wasn't born to think about it or anything else. When the wave snaps shut over his blue head, the water remains water. Hunger is the only story he has ever heard in his life that he could believe. I don't say he's right, neither do I say he's wrong. Religiously, he swallows the silver leaf with its broken red river, and with a rough and easy cry I couldn't rouse out of my thoughtful body if my life depended on it, he swings back over the bright sea to do the same thing, to do it as I long to do something, anything, perfectly. The forest. This is from New and Selected Poems. At night, under the trees, the black snake jellies forward, rubbing roughly the stems of the bloodroot, the yellow leaves, little boulders of bark to take off the old life. I don't know if he knows what is happening. I don't know if he knows it will work. In the distance, the moon and the stars give a little light. In the distance, the owl cries out. In the distance, the owl cries out. The snake knows these are the owl's woods, these are the woods of death. These are the woods of hardship where you crawl and crawl, where you live in the husks of trees, where you lie on the wild twigs and they cannot bear your weight, where life has no purpose and it is neither civil nor intelligent. Where life has no purpose and it is neither civil nor intelligent. It begins to rain. It begins to smell like the bodies of flowers. At the back of the neck, the old skin splits. The snake shivers, but does not hesitate. He inches forward. He begins to bleed through like satin. Indonesia. On the curving, dusty roads we drove through the plantations where the pickers balanced on the hot hillsides. Then we climbed toward the green trees, toward the white scarves of the clouds, to the inn that is never closed in this island of fairest weather. The sun hung like a stone, time dripped away like a steaming river, and from somewhere a dry tongue lashed out its single motto, now and forever. And the pickers balanced on the hot hillsides like gray and blue blossoms, wrapped in their heavy layers of clothes against the whips of the branches, in that world of leaves no poor man with a brown face and an empty sack has ever picked his way out of. At the inn, we stepped from the car to the garden, where tea was brought to us scalding in white cups from the fire. Don't ask if it was the fire of honey or the fire of death. Don't ask if we were determined to live at last with merciful hearts. We sat among the unforgettable flowers. We let the white cups cool before we raised them to our lips. The sun. Have you ever seen anything in your life more wonderful than the way the sun every evening, relaxed and easy, floats toward the horizon and into the clouds or the hills, or the rumpled sea, and is gone? And how it slides again out of the blackness every morning on the other side of the world like a red flower, streaming upward on its heavenly oils, say, on a morning in early summer, at its perfect imperial distance. And have you ever felt for anything such wild love? Do you think there's anywhere in any language a word billowing enough for the pleasure that fills you as the sun reaches out, as it warms you, as you stand there empty-handed? Or have you too turned from this world? Or have you too gone crazy for power, for things? This is from white pine, this is our last one, and it is called Work. How beautiful this morning was Pasture Pond. It had lain in the dark all night, catching the rain on its broad back. All day I work with the linen of words and the pins of punctuation. All day I hang out over a desk, grinding my teeth, staring. Then I sleep. Then I come out of the house, even before the sun is up, and walk back through the pine woods to Pasture Pond. We will end here for today.